I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you. Welcome to Star Wars Week Day 3. We're talking about Episode 3 today, obviously. Um, this is where my opinions on the prequels start to differentiate from the public opinion. Because, while I think Phantom Menace is a bad film, and I think Attack of the Titans is mostly a bad film, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars film. And this is not something, I didn't grow up on the prequels. I grew up on the original films, the pre-special edition Star Wars. So it's not like I didn't see it the proper way, like some would put it. No, I saw it the way everyone tells you should see the films. And yeah, my favorite one is Revenge of the Sith, and I explain why. Well, I'll do my best. In Revenge of the Sith, we get the story of how this guy happens, and what these guys do, and we get the big reveal of Emperor Palpatine and all that stuff, and all the stuff we all knew was coming, but that finally happens. After 3 films, we finally get the story we all wanted to hear. And that's all well and good. The story goes as you expect it to. Anakin doesn't want to have even more loss in his life, and his nightmares are recurring, like in Episode 2. And he seeks help for this, and Palpatine offers help, and influences him to walk down the dark path, which then consumes him, and he becomes Lord Vader. We know that story, and the clone troopers end up turning on the Jedi in order to execute it, and all that fun stuff. And then Obi-Wan and Anakin fight, and that's it. It's a very, very simple story. Dooku dies at the start too, but that's not really important. No. The reason I love this film is not so much for its story, though I think the story is good. I think especially the manipulation of Anakin by Palpatine is superb. No, the reason I love this film so much is because of the pacing. This film starts with a 24-minute long action sequence that never gets boring, doesn't get tedious, and is just spectacular. Then has a short down moment where it sets up the next bit of the plot, and then launches into a new action sequence. This film is full of set pieces, and to me, Star Wars were always best when it was doing the set pieces. We remember the fights, we remember the exciting parts. On Hoth, we remember when they tied up the AT-AT on Endor's moon. We remember when they went with the speeder bikes, and they blew up the Death Star in A New Hope, and that's what we all remember. Episode 3 is just that. It's just memorable fucking action sequence put back to back, but without sacrificing the story that we knew they had to tell. And it works really well. It's really exciting. It's by far the most fun and cool Star Wars film in that regard. It's not very, what's the word? It's not very introspective, or something. It's not very deep or trying to analyze anything. It's a very simple story of the fall of a hero, because of loss and despair, and a bunch of action. And I can respect that. Because it's so good, it's so fun. The choreography in all the fights is great. The effects, the CGI and the practical look great. The end fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin is one of the best fights, if not the best fight in the entire series. It's just so good, and the soundtrack is amazing. And honestly, I feel the acting is really solid too. Natalie Portman by far has her best scenes in this film, although I don't like the ending, but I'll get to that. Hayden Christensen, he does good. People shit on Episode 2 for good reason, but he does good in this film. He's really convincing. I really like especially Anakin when he has gone full on Vader. He feels like the character he should be. He feels like the tragic fallen hero that we may not be able to sympathize with him, but we can still understand what happened to him, and I really like that. And people really don't. They really don't. They don't like that Darth Vader is whiny. They don't like that he yells, "I hate you!" at Obi-Wan, and I'm like, well, that's what he would do. Why wouldn't he do that? He literally had his entire everything ripped away from him, and his mind twisted, and basically just pushed down the dark path, which, as Yoda has made clear, once you start, you get consumed entirely. Like, Anakin is gone at that point. It's too late. And to me, it all felt very natural. And that's how I felt about 10 years ago, and rewatching it today. I feel like this film is strong from the start to almost the ending. Because it's just such a really, really action-packed and fun film to watch. Like, it's the perfect action film in that regard. It's really solid. I would say that the only film that's as solid with consistent action as this one would be Episode 7, but we have a bunch of days left until that. So, what are your thoughts? First of all, I'm very sad R4 died. Obi-Wan's R4 unit dies at the start. It's the most tragic end in the entire series is R4. Yes, I'm gonna keep showing my figures because I like them. And the fight with Grievous, people really don't like Grievous. Like, oh my god, like, I mentioned Grievous for a second on Twitter, and like 10 people had to tell me, oh, he was such a wasted villain. And I'm like, was he? I thought he had 2 really good scenes, one escape and one fight, which was like a chase and a fight sequence, and had one of the most cool, awesome, explosive deaths in the series. Like, how was he wasted? What, he didn't do enough things? I'm sorry, but this is the series that has fucking Boba Fett, who does nothing. It's the series with Emperor Palpatine, who in the original trilogy first isn't even seen, and then it's just a hologram. And then when he finally arrives, he just sits in a chair for half the film. And I think that's fine, don't get me wrong, but how is that okay? But Grievous is wasted? Like, Darth Maul, I'll give you Darth Maul. Because he was hyped up basically as the new Darth Vader with Episode 1. And he ended up being the Grand Moff Tarkin of Episode 1, except Grand Moff Tarkin actually did things. But Grievous, really? Grievous was underused? If anything, I feel like he was done perfectly in Episode 3. Well, something that overused him is the Clone Wars, but that's a whole other story. So no, I thought that was really good, and I love Obi-Wan's fight with him, and I love the ending to it, and him exploding into flames, and I also like that, because he's not a droid, he's just basically on life support, that he's got his cybernetic enhancement, he's a cyborg. He's an undead cyborg robot skeleton, basically. And he has this cough, because, well, his lungs are, like, put into a tiny fucking metal thingy. And as everyone describes it, he has asthma. Like, he keeps having asthmatic coughs. And as someone with asthma, I kind of like having a badass villain who coughs a lot. Like, that was kind of cool. I like Grievous a lot. He was neat. He was also fun to play as in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Great space combat in this film. I would say the best space combat. Though Episode 7 gets close. I'm trying not to talk too much about Episode 7. Like I said, great choreography. Yoda vs. Palpatine is an awesome fight. I don't think Anakin killing the kids was going too far with him being evil, because it's Darth Vader. He's meant to now be fully consumed by the dark side and be thinking that the Jedi are like the source of all evil. Why would he not kill the kids? Like, he got the order to do it. Like, the entire point that's meant to be a evolution of what happened in the Sand People, where he also did that. Again, the Sand People, he was on his own accord because of what happened to his mother, but now he's able to do it on order because he's been consumed by the dark side. I mean, to me it works. It's dark, yeah, but it's Darth Vader, and it's interesting how people want Darth Vader to be cold and evil and menacing and not at all humanized. In every other discussion about the bad things about Anakin Skywalker, until it's like, oh, and he killed children. Darth Vader wouldn't do that. Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't Darth Vader kill kids? He didn't have a problem with fucking Tarkin blowing up an entire planet, just as an example. You think there were any kids on there? Like, of course he would. But yeah, I feel that's really good. And I like the scene with Vader and Palpatine at the end, and them preparing to build a Death Star, and it's good. What I don't like, because I need to say something negative about this film, otherwise you will all have my head. I don't like the birth of Luke and Leia. For two reasons. Padme's death. Padme dying at childbirth is not really my problem. The problem is not having an explanation for it. Or we're losing her and we don't know why. Like, oh, she lost the will to live? Oh, okay. The problem is that makes Padme's entire character for 3 films to be the carrier of Luke and Leia. Like, yeah, female, meant to be a strong, even action lead. Your entire purpose in the story? To be a baby carriage. Like, it's... Really? She loses the will to live the moment her kids are born. Really? She has no reason to go on? I like the better... I actually like Palpatine's lie better, that Anakin killed her. Like, they could have said that the fourth choke, we got to her too late, like, she's collapsing, but we can save the kids. And second, I don't like the reveal that it's twins, and that they name them Luke and Leia in the scene. And I'm going to explain why, because yes, we all know that Luke and Leia are twins. We all know that the children of Anakin and Padme are Luke and Leia, because we saw episode 4, 5, and 6. But a lot of kids, and a lot of, even adults actually, they get introduced to Star Wars through the prequels. And yeah, they probably know Luke is Darth Vader's dad, but one thing they might have been able to avoid, because it's actually pretty easy to avoid this if you haven't seen the films, because people don't talk about it as openly as you might think they do, is that Leia is Luke's sister. That he had a twin sister. That part, you can kind of avoid that information, and if they hadn't done that whole, oh, it's twins, and the naming scene, you could go into episode 4 not knowing Leia is Luke's sister, and still have that, oh wow, really? Moment in episode 6. And I feel like it's just such a pointless little thing. And that's my biggest issue with the film. That and the Kashyyyk scenes are kind of pointless, because they're just there to, so that Yoda can say, oh, hi Chewbacca. And it's like, oh, that was a terrible Yoda impersonation. And it's just not good. Not good. But apart from that, I love the film. It's my favorite Star Wars film. Having seen all 7 back to back, it's my favorite one. And whether you like it or not, like, you can have your opinion, but I do feel like it's easily underrated. I feel like too many people, dislike it on principle, because it's one of them prequel films, Because, unfortunately, that is something that happens. I've seen it. I've seen people, like, directly complain about things in prequels without actually, like, even having the context of it. having, like, some people complain about having seen them. I've seen people talk about how bad episode 3 is, and then admit they haven't seen it, and it's like, don't jump on the bandwagon. Just watch it, and if you don't like it, fine. By all means, don't like it, and give your reasons. That's fine, but if, like, don't just hate it because it's a film we're supposed to hate. Because maybe if you walk in with an open mind and the opportunity to like it, maybe you'll enjoy it. Because I sure as hell did. And like I said, I didn't like episode 1 at all, and episode 2, I didn't like that one either. I liked parts of it, but I didn't like the film overall. And I grew up on 4, 5, and 6. So, by all logical mainstream thinking, I should hate this film, but I don't. So, that's episode 3, and I don't know. Do you have anything left to say, Obi-Wan Kenobi? Only a Sith deals in absolutes. Yeah, that line is kind of silly. I mean, that's an absolute, Obi-Wan. I mean, it's kind of hypocritical. Oh, and rest in peace, our 4P11? P12? P11, P12. Which one is it? I'm sorry, I forgot your name. The best droid there ever was.